So today is way better. So they collect more data. You have a lot of IoT. Back then it was very difficult to collect this kind of data. But I can tell you, it's still at an infant level. Look, we spend most of our awake day at the office, at our jobs, right? So if that piece is not, if you're not enjoying that piece, what are we enjoying? You
Yeah.
see what I mean? And I truly believe inncivio can bring that up. So where is that heading? The beauty of it is that we don't know. That's the beauty of it. It's super exciting.
Welcome back to the 8 Growth Ventures podcast. Today I'm interviewing Ghassen BENHADJSALAH, serial tech entrepreneur and co-founder of inncivio. Ghassen specializes building AI models, mainly in fintech and credit risk analytics, and in the learning in the future of workspace. In this episode, we'll dive into his journey, the future of AI in business, and how he's shaping the next wave of innovation. Ghassen, thank you so much for being on our podcast. I think before we get a little bit started and dive into some of the questions, you have one of those interesting backgrounds I've been blown away by. I think in our first initial conversation, you were in New York, now you're in Zurich. You are a man of the world. Can you tell us a little bit of your background, particularly like because it's so interesting, all the different places you've lived and all the different experiences you have, so our listening audience can learn a little bit about you and the adventures you've had in your incredible journey.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Hamlet, for giving us some space here and inviting me to this podcast. Yeah, look, I mean, I've been around. I've been around a lot of different places. I mean, I'm originally from Tunisia, grew up in Tunisia, North Africa, and then I was traveling around. So I studied also in Switzerland. That's also then my last businesses we've been between Switzerland. The last one is in the between the UK and the US, be it London and New York. So and especially 2024, the year where we spoke, was really crazy. I was really running around in many different places. Not very proud of my I was going to call it like the footprint, the ecological footprint. Not very proud. Took way too many flights. But yeah, been around different places. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 15 years, mainly active in the fintech and AI space. Disclaimer, that was way before the craze of ChatGPT and AI becoming the name of the game, right? I mean,
The rebranding AI has taken, right? So,
yes,
so
man,
so from
this
data
is
science to AI, okay, we're AI now.
yeah, exactly. Like good. I'm from the side of good old machine learning. I sound like a 200 years old person, but for the ones who are listening, I'm not. Right? But it's just things go so fast. Technology goes so fast. So, yeah, pleasure being in the show.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on. As most of the listening audience is familiar, we're going to go through sort of like a chronological order of your journey, looking at some of the past and some of the present, and eventually on your vision of the future, where you think the world is headed. Let's start a little bit on your, I guess, fintech background and insurance fraud detection predominantly, right? So
Mhm.
you had a thesis on insurance fraud using data mining techniques. What did you learn in the process of this? Like, what can you share from that experience that has been fundamental overall of some of the things that you discovered during that period and some of the interesting insights that came?
Yeah, sure. That's actually very interesting because I can see that you digged really deep to find that one. But very interesting because, again, background is in data science. I'm an engineer. And then when I moved to Switzerland, I did a second master in actuarial science. I know the name is complicated, like my last name, but this is basically the science of mathematicians within insurance. Like, how do you calculate the premiums? Why do the premiums have odd names? Why are they not, I don't know, $200 and that's it? Why are they like 262.30, right? Because there are machine learning models calculating them. And and at some point, they had both hats. So the hat of the data science engineer and the hat of the actuary. And you would be amazed, even today, but that this was almost 10 years ago, that the industries that are sitting back then, especially on the biggest amount of data, they are using it the least. It's crazy. So the insurance industry, they need to record data. They have tons of data everywhere. And then the way they calculate, premiums and models, they're still using the old, for example, Monte Carlo simulation model, right? And back then, I was like, hey, no, we can use machine learning in this. We can add, different data science techniques in this. And as those two spaces in the past, they were not, going together. They kept being separate. So I remember when I was
What did
finishing.
this allow? Like, what was the unlock for the companies themselves? It would allow them to set premiums at the optimal level and be able to charge more for the ones that were high risk and less for the ones that were lower. That's the kind of benefits you were extracting.
Exactly. The
Amazing.
simple part is it's a win-win for the person who's paying for the insurance and for the insurer. Because
Yeah.
the old model is almost more or less everyone is paying the same price. And then some are really the priced correctly, but most of them are not. So the ones
Like,
that
what
are
were some
priced.
variables you were looking at that they had in their data set that they just weren't utilizing? Is there certain things that like stood out as features that you're like, I can't believe we're not using this to be able to kind of set the premium at the right price?
Yeah. So think, for example, of car insurance. Back then, car insurance, the model of car insurance was basically looking mainly at the car. Most of the time, it was only the car. So an old car can go more broke, so more pricing. While maybe a crazy guy could drive a new car, and that guy should pay more, right?
Right.
So they were mainly focusing on the car, and then the ones that were focusing also on the driver, they were not focusing on the environment. Because an environment where you have a lot of rain or snow, people should pay more for their car insurance than the place where there is no snow and slippery roads, for example. You see? So you add to that, for example, the environment, you add to that different predictions on the level. You can go even at the level of detail of, for example, the type of plastics of the wheel, right?
Wow.
Of course,
So the
because
wheel choice on the automobile can factor it.
of course, that's very
Amazing.
important. You see, because what you are trying to detect ultimately, it's the probability of that car driven by that person to have an accident,
Right.
right? Because
And
that's
then
what
now
you
we're
calculate.
more the modern cars, I guess, with the devices embedded in it, they could
Yeah,
actually see how you're even driving. Are you driving too fast? Are you not driving too
yeah,
fast?
yeah.
All
To-
elements of that.
today is way better. Like 10 years of technology is a lot, right? So today is way better. So they collect more data. You have a lot of IoT. Back then it was very difficult to collect this kind of data. But I can tell you, it's still at an infant level. The data are not used correctly, properly, and they're not really leveraged. You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what unlocks. I mean, car insurance is an example. Back then, it was fraud detection, for example. I mean, um, uh, online fraud, for example, right?
Yeah,
And this,
let's dig into that. Yeah. So like your background in actuarial science, like how did it make you build up your principles just on like risk management and innovation? Like where did that take you overall?
so that brought me the hat of risk management, as you mentioned, the actuarial science, and I
Yeah.
started using that hat with my technology and data science background. And I can tell you, in the insurance space today is way better, but back then they were like, "Oh, whoa, whoa, these are two different things." You know, data science and actuarial science, these are two different things. Everyone is proud of his own science, if you want,
Right.
right? So they don't want to mix. So today, again, today is way better. And you can build today because data is there. You can build models on, again, fraud detection, car insurance, life insurance, for example, things like that. And it's about being more, think about dynamic pricing in airlines, for example, right? Back in the time, it was like airline was the same yield management and the
When's the
pricing of,
best time to buy? Like, is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? What
say,
is?
that was back then because those models were static. Today, it's not the case anymore. Don't even try. I tell you, because it's really especially with those evil cookies, right? They know the model knows when are you reacting.
You
If
know,
you
that's why
click,
I use incognito when I'm buying and I use a VPN.
yeah,
Oh,
the incognito piece, I like your naivete. I really appreciate it, but keep thinking it. The VPN piece, yes, you're right. That helps. Incognito, I don't know. I don't want to get myself into trouble, but yes, use incognito and you will not have cookies.
you know, let's get into a little bit of some of the exciting things you're working on right now. Tell us a little bit about Incivio. What is Incivio? What are you guys building there?
Sure, sure, sure. I mean, look, last business we were mainly doing it in the lending space. So I had a platform where we can lend, uh, do loans to small medium businesses, and also through all that experience, I've been thinking like, look, why do businesses fail? Why do businesses have problems, especially the ones that have a very loyal customer base? And I start digging deeper and I start seeing that actually the biggest really problem is disengaged employees. So if you have, even especially for small businesses, big businesses like enterprise, it is still a pain. But I mean,
It's
you
almost
don't really
expected,
see.
right? The larger you get, you're like, there's no way I'm going to have 1,000 people as the same way it was when we were 15 to 25 people.
It's a pity, though. It's a pity, though. You can, and I'm a true believer that you can do that. I'm an optimist, right? And when I figured that out, I was like, "Whoa, there is something to do here. There's something I'm passionate about." It's like, "Hey, let people be more engaged. How can we do?" Man, I had way too many exit interviews with all the businesses I built. People coming in, going out, and it was always about, "Hey, look, if we go elsewhere, we learn more. We have more stuff. We don't do repetitive tasks and so on, and that's very important. So incivio is the engagement infrastructure. Basically, it's an engine where you can put any type of content and it transforms it into knowledge pieces, like things that the way we consume content today that is changing. It's like, who is still reading, I don't know, physical books? There are some, but most are not, right? Who is still reading 30-page PDFs as an SOP or as an onboarding material? There are some, but the majority aren't. I mean, attention spans are getting very, very shorter and shorter and shorter. TikTok videos now, people think they're long, right?
6 seconds, so long.
It's so long, man. I cannot, you know. So that's what we are doing. So NCView transforms that content into, flashcards, TikTok-like videos, audios, podcasts, and everything, so that you are able to absorb that knowledge in a faster way. I mean, 4 dimensions. You have the format, the timing, the channel, very important, the channel, and the frequency. We human beings are not able to absorb a lot of information one shot. So we'll be speaking you and me here. Maybe people will listen to us, and then okay, they will keep maybe 10%, 20% of what they're listening on our side in the next, I don't know, week or two. But if they need to learn something regarding that, then they need to go Google it or find it, and that's the spaced repetition piece that we in CVU do as well. So we could transform
Amazing.
that, say, for example, SOP or playbook, onboarding playbook, into small pieces that are received every, I don't know, day, second day, to your email box, to your Slack channel, to your WhatsApp. That's the channel piece. You see?
Right.
So it's not like only one channel. I push you everything there. I don't know, kind of a
So it's
Udemy
like a
course.
this is amazing. So like I just want to summarize it for the listening
Yeah,
audience
yeah.
of what I heard and tell me if we're headed
Yes,
in the
please.
right direction.
Yeah.
It sounds like you were able to take what SOPs an organization has built or any training manuals that they might have and just general any content that they want to disperse
Hmm.
in their traditional format. So
Yeah.
for example, if I'm a major retailer and I've built out all of these HR documents and I have
Hmm.
all of these ways that I want my sales team to engage with my customers, or I might be a restaurateur that has multi locations, and there's a certain way I want my food created, and there's certain policies of how to
Yes.
treat and treat customers. All of these larger businesses, and even smaller, doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
depend on the size,
Yeah.
you're able to take the book or the onboarding material, or even
Yes.
like the people we know skim and don't read and retain,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they go through the course and the curriculum, and you're able to split it, splice it, repurpose it, and turn it into a consumption that most people now are used to. So it might be on Slack, it might be on mobile, it might be on email, but then you're also at the same time able to do it in a way that you're ensured that they are reading it, seeing it, and actually absorbing the information. Am I
I, I'm
understanding?
I'm not sure if I should be proud of you or myself that explained to you this very well. Awesome.
That's a
Exactly like that. Exactly like that.
That's really, really cool. So where are you in this journey, right? So this is obviously your latest startup. The
This
vision
is
is
yeah.
bold, it's grand, it sounds really, really impactful.
Yeah.
Tell me a little about where you guys are in building the startup. What are some of the challenges you've overcome so far, and what are the near horizon challenges that you're
Yeah.
facing that you're trying to solve for?
Yeah, look, we started working on this with my two amazing co-founders like February 2024, so almost a year ago. We did different pilots. We obviously developed an MVP. Today, I don't know if I should still call it an MVP because we have more than 2,500 users using it. We have a couple of paying customers. We have a very good pipeline of customers that are at the LOI level. So that's where we are. I mean, we are also currently, I don't know, by the time this is out, it's still relevant. We are currently fundraising for our pre-seed round. So that's where we are. And actually, we are in the beginning of the journey. That said, we already have achieved a lot from that perspective. Uh, and I'm really, really looking forward to see this mission getting executed and to see really people, loving their jobs again, being engaged again with their tasks. I mean, think about it. I mean, look, we spend most of our awake day at the office, at our jobs, right? So if that piece is not, if we're not enjoying that piece, what are we enjoying? You
Yeah.
see what I mean? And I truly believe inncivio can bring that up. Inncivio can redefine learning within the workplace. And if we feel that we're growing within our role, there is no chance we will not be happy about our day, about our week, about our year, about our life in general,
Clearly,
right?
you're passionate about solving this. Why? Where's the why coming from? And then tell me why you decided to solve this today and now, and why it's the right time for it.
I think uh, why I'll start with the easy one. Why is the right time for it? It's the right time for it because today we can develop such thing at a fraction of the cost. Uh, Computing power is at all-time lows. Thank you, NVIDIA, although they're becoming one of the biggest businesses. So, I mean, to run models that I'm speaking, like the ones I'm speaking about them to you, I don't know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, would have costed us millions, right? Today, you can do it super fast because you can rent an AWS server, run your model, consume that much, and then close it and go with your life, right? So, today, the infrastructure, the technological infrastructure, allows us to do this at a more affordable cost. Before it was also the case, but it was too expensive, right? That's why now is really the right time. Plus, obviously, there is hybrid work, remote work. I mean, we are getting more and more disconnected while we are more and more connected. I don't know how you say it. You see what I mean? It's like everyone is online, but no one is connected with anyone, right?
Right.
So today is the right time so that people can mental health, for example, channels are at all-time highs. This is very important. Now is the right time to do this because we have the means, we have the technology, and we have the problem that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, why am I personally super passionate about this? It's just that I am passionate about solving fundamental problems. I don't like solving the symptoms, even though there's a lot of money there. But I'm not into that. I'm a passionate founder. I'm a resilient founder, and that's where I get it from, right? If this problem, it's not only big, this is a problem that is important. You see, this is the fact that people hate Mondays and hate their lives within their jobs and everything, and they're not feeling that they're growing is super important. And obviously, I've seen that way too many
Right.
times with my last businesses, with my customers, with my clients. I've seen it way too many. I mean, people when because it's then contagious. Imagine you and me now talking, and you are down, and you hate this task that you're doing now. You're like, another guy to interview. I hate this. Imagine how this discussion will go. It will
Right.
not inspire anyone. No one will listen to it. You see what I mean? And this is what I'm talking about. The passion that you're showing, that's what I want to see. And I want everyone to be like you, very happy about interviewing others and doing their jobs correctly and luckily and happily.
Amazing. So, Gaston, I mean, I'm you doing this and the data that you see. There's a question that's just percolating inside of me that I'm sure other listening audience are. What we've learned, at least on the podcast, the vision that we set as CEOs and the leadership we provide. But one of the most important roles we have is the culture that we set.
Yeah.
Have you started noticing, given what you guys are doing and what your data science background and your data driven side of things, what do you see as the optimal culture, or what would you envision of a great culture that most founders should be embracing at an early stage? And does that change as the organization gets bigger?
Very interesting question. I got asked this exact question in another podcast, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. So at the founder level, I think the at an early days of startups, the culture is the founders, the team, the co-founders, basically, right? It's very important at that level for everyone to be aligned, and that generally, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying, just the proof of time. If you if you don't hate and love your co-founder at the same time, something is wrong, right? You see what I mean? Because you go through so much stress and like different levels. I mean, the same day you have three ups and four lows. So
Such
you
a
see,
roller coaster, right? Like
exactly.
the startup journey. One day that you
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, you're happy, you got a big deal, and then by afternoon you've lost a client that you weren't expecting. How did this
Exactly.
happen?
And before you sleep, you receive an email from an investor telling you, "Hey, by the way, there is this or that," and you're like, "My God, how can I do this in the same day?" So the culture in the beginning is really the team. I think it's very important to have co-founders. I highly recommend that because, man, doing this alone is it's crazy. It's crazy, right? I mean, doing it is already crazy, but doing it alone is a very lonely game. Although being an entrepreneur is a lonely game because as
So
simple
in
as that.
Incivio, your co-founders are, can you tell us a little bit about your co-founders and how you guys connected, and how
Sure.
is the combination of you three shaping the future and the vision or the direction of Incivio as a whole? And what recommendations do you have for early stage
Yeah,
founders?
yeah. I mean, if I tell you what I really think about my co-founders, they will hate me. I'm not kidding. Uh, Look, I have two amazing co-founders, really. I built multiple startups, but with this one, I have a very good feeling about that. So I have Felix and Anna. I met Felix 6, 7 years ago. It was actually I hired him in my last business. Um, Amazing guy. He's Portuguese. I always claim that he's Mexican because he looks like a Mexican. Nothing bad with that, but he's a very proud Portuguese. So I always joke about that. Very nice guy. He has two amazing daughters, nice family. His work ethics are awesome. We really clicked since the beginning, and then after 6 years of working together, I thought, man, let's do something. Let's do something together, and we're passionate about the same thing. Um, and our third co-founder, I know her since university. That's almost 12 years there, and we stayed connected. And she's between Felix and me. I mean, we are the first two guys, second two technical guys, so we're absolutely messy and not organized and all over the place. Anna is really the perfect balance to that. So she's the person who puts everything on the table. She's the person who gets everything done, and she's the person who's also very passionate about this industry that we're involved in, like now learning, education, all of that. And yeah, and with Anna, Felix, and myself, we were with the same setup in my last business: CEO, CTO, and COO. So huge synergy there. Obviously, I mean, we have our ups and downs, but we really enjoy. I truly think we really enjoy every moment of working together. And if I can recommend something in terms of having a startup and co-founding perspective, good times don't measure anything on good times. Okay, so when you send that term sheet or when you have that client, we are all happy. Measure it really on tough times, which will happen if they didn't happen already, right? On tough times where you have almost no visibility and you don't know from one day to another how things will shape, and then you see how you stick together, how you think. Fundamentals are so important, so important, like things like integrity, things like how we think about the future. That's so important. So that's just a recommendation. I'm not in a position to give advice about how to find a co-founder whatsoever. But please, one thing: don't hire a co-founder. I might get grilled for this. Just if you think about hiring a co-founder, it's already wrong. You don't hire a co-founder. It needs to click. You guys need to
Right.
go straight through the wall together and be very happy and proud about it. So as
Uh,
simple
uh,
as that.
I love what I heard. So let me summarize. Is what I heard is that there is a balancing act of things that you will share in commonality, like the work ethic. And then there's also things that you don't share, which round each other out, right? So, for example, Anna's
Absolutely.
ability to keep you guys organized and focused and execute on the things that matter, and maybe Felix's
Felix,
ability to get really deep into his work and figure out a technical solution of it, and your ability to figure out what the overarching vision is and where we're going together, and the collaborative nature that you bring to the table for the group to be able to become successful. But
absolutely.
outside of that, it's where the rubber meets the road really is when things get really hard, and how do you react in those situations that shows the true resilience of the team, and if what can allow the team to potentially become successful. And my guess is this is why the gel of you three has been so great, is that this is startup two with you guys together, or what
This is
number is
the
this?
this is the first startup we co-found together, but it's the second one that we are working together. The other one was with mine and with other co-founders, and they were working with me. Yeah.
Amazing. So for you, you almost had a cheat code, right? You got a chance to work with them a little bit and see how things could go, and
uh,
probably in that startup you realize that this is the group I definitely want to start something with, and here you are today. Uh,
100%,
Awesome.
100%.
But let's talk a little bit about your vision of the future and where things are headed. So obviously you've had a lot of great experience in AI and machine learning and data science, as well as all the incredible things that you're working on. You see how fast the innovation is going, and even now, like the U.S. just recently, as of like a couple days ago,
Uh,
announced Stargate, this $500 billion, insane, like just $500 billion to be able to build this massive
uh,
infrastructure, and I don't even, I can't even phantom what the capabilities of this would be able to do, right? So where is this headed? Like, where do you see, I'm not even going to say 10 years from now, because, oh my God, that feels like an eternity. Like, where do you think in the next year the models are going to get to? Where do you think the capabilities that are going to be unlocked? And I say this as a founder of an AI startup for yourself, because I feel like what you're working on 6 months ago almost feels like such a long time ago, and the speed of innovation that's starting to occur now.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it's really crazy and super exciting, super exciting. I mean, when you see those investments in AI, but again, AI has different aspects. There is the data, there is the infrastructure, there's the computing power, there are many things on it. Um, this is amazing, and this is uh, really pushes me to be even more and more optimistic. So where is that heading? The beauty of it is that we don't know. That's the beauty of it. It's super exciting, right? I am the kind of people who, whenever I know what's gonna happen, I immediately get bored. It's just like I'm a zero to
I
one
think you and I
founder.
have this in common, right?
It's
I think this is what keeps us going. It
exactly. You know, if you want to lose me, tell me what's gonna happen. And so if I know what's gonna happen, why am I spending my time on? Why? I'm done.
the
It's-
irony of this as you build models for prediction, right?
exactly. Yeah, there's always a standard deviation, and it might happen like this, like that. So that's the thing. So no, but I think if we get more into tangible areas, I think a lot of legacy industries are gonna be really, really heavily transformed. The one we are working on is education, for example, and training and learning in general. It cannot continue like this. It's just like we are not learning the way we used to. I mean, again, us having shorter attention span is not necessarily bad. It's just pushing our technology to become better at delivering the information. You see what I mean? So
Right.
you can always look at different things from positive. I really see it as positive. So to have Stargate $500 billion. I mean, they didn't mention a timeline. I was very curious about that. I was like, hey, okay, let's not ask for what, but what's the drill down there? When will these 500 billion be used already? And then it gives you an idea. So they didn't mention that. It was more about the number than anything else. But I think this is amazing. This is amazing. I mean, I think I can think of many applications, especially in the safety space. I can think of many applications in the life science space, in the finance space, as I mentioned, in the learning. I mean, I can go into some tangible examples. I mean, if you think of, again, credit risk assessment, I mean, uh, interest
Yeah,
rate
I mean, just
should,
think about all the devices that are collecting information from us, from the watches to now where the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, imagine recording devices on your eyes as you're
exactly.
walking through the world and seeing the world in your own vision, to the cars, Tesla's latest full self-driving vehicle and how well that's performing, and in all of the early indications that they might have figured it out finally, right? Like some of these incredible innovation, and it feels like it's just one after the
Yeah,
other,
yeah,
and in real time now language translation, which is
yeah,
insane. Like being able to talk to anyone at any time. It does Language is obsolete now. Like who would have thought that we would have got into a world where you can
yeah.
speak to anyone anywhere at any time, and they would fully
Right.
understand you, and we're already there. Like it's already
Right.
starting to happen
Absolutely.
in all of these incredible things. So yeah,
Absolutely.
the future is exciting, and now we're just accelerating it even more. We're like, hey, we're here. What's going to happen? And to me, it's one of the best times to be a founder and one of the most exciting times to be building. And I'm excited for what the future holds. But one of the last conversations I would like to ask you before we kind of head off, and this is interesting for some of our listening audience who are
Mhm.
at this point raising their children and trying to figure out what legacy means for not only for them, for their businesses. Where do you want to make an impact? Like when you look at your life and you say, I am now, I'm guessing you're in your early 30s, mid 30s.
Yeah,
Where
I'm
are you?
36.
36.
36.
See, my AI almost told me. Zoom, you got your AI age detection. So you're in your mid 30s, you got a whole lifespan ahead of you, right? Like, but one of the things that I've noticed a commonality in some of the greatest founders is the impact that they want to leave here. What is your biggest impact when it's all said and done that you would want to be able to leave?
I'm thinking of many things, but definitely the impact I'm having in mind is really, again, knowledge transfer, um, self-fulfillment. I'm really like, if I can participate into making the world enjoying more their lives, their jobs, their existence. Um, Also by also, I don't know, maybe I'm too much of a geek. I truly because on my personal level, I'm super curious. I love seeing new things, learning new things, going into new areas, having excitements in our lives. Look, I mean, to be honest, today, mm, like if you watch the media, and we all know, right? You open the TV, man, you only see stuff that scare you, not stuff that inspire you.
Depresses you. It literally depresses you.
Exactly. You see what I mean? And then you go to your job, and then you are tasked to do one thing and to do it very well and all the time. And you get bored and all of that. So my impact, if I can achieve this, that make people really enjoy more the little things, everyday things, not just that one vacation, I don't know, once a year or once every
That
2 years.
that you plan for months on out and all of that.
The journey,
Mhm.
Hamlet, the journey. People should enjoy the journey. I love to see that. That's why I liked being a founder, because for me, it's like every day is another day. I know the goal. I might reach it. I might not reach it. I might raise. I might not raise. I might close that deal. I might not close that deal. But you see that roller coaster, that I enjoy. Like the fact that I have no predictability in my life. Maybe it's too much. It's a bit extreme, right? Of course, I have some, so it's very important to have a place where to sleep, to eat, get a shower. But it's very important as well to keep some spices in our lives and to learn and to enjoy learning and to feel like every day there is something new, right? Um, that's the impact I want to achieve. As simple as that.
Thank you. So now that was incredible, and not only do I share that sentiment that you've shared, and I'm sure everyone in our listening audience that heard that would love to see that same vision come to life. If people wanted to connect with you and be part of your journey, what's the best way to do so? Like, what should we leave in the show notes?
Ideally, LinkedIn. Well, very easy. I'm active there. I open my LinkedIn at least once a day. So in LinkedIn, it's Ghassen BENHADJSALAH. Just Google it. I can assure you there are not many Ghassen BENHADJSALAHs out there. If I was, I don't know, Joe Stones, maybe, but Ghassen BENHADJSALAH, you will only find one. Please connect, reach out. I mean, happy to help in any way or shape or form. If you want to join and see your journey and my journey, please, I'm always happy to speak to people that are curious, that are builders, and that add value with their thoughts and their thinking. So yeah, let's go.
Perfect. Well, Ghassen Benasala, we're going to leave this in the show notes because this is definitely one of those names that you guys will want to reference in the show notes itself. It's been really an honor and a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for sharing your journey, talking about your past, your present, and your future, your background in machine learning and data science, and all the incredible insights that you learned in the early days, and the incredible company like inncivio that you're working on, your viewpoint on leadership, how you see the foundation of the team of being a unified front, and then in addition to that, where you see the world headed, are all incredible visions that I hope to come to life. This has been Hamlet Azarian, your host at A Growth Ventures podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe so you can get additional episodes from us. Keep on learning, keep on growing, and until next time, thank you, everybody.